This is Lisa from A Knit Sheep Yarn in New Jersey. Hey, I wanted to talk about my ongoing projects, my current whips. First, there's Dear Old Helen. I'm going to link the pattern in the description bar below, but sadly, I made no progress on this since the last time I podcasted because you see, what happened was I have a tote bag, and poor Helen ended up in the bottom of my tote bag, and I couldn't find it. I looked everywhere except the bottom of the tote bag. So this week I will be focusing some attention on Oh Helen. But I really like how this is going. And this yarn, I'm going to give it a good block because I want these holes to really open up for me. And this is going to take blocking just beautifully. Look at that. So I will pin it out when it's done. So this is something that I would more than likely wet block and pin. Okay, I did make some progress on my t-shirt project. I'm just going to put my arm in the one sleeve that I've completed. Look at that. So I think this lace, get up nice and close. I will take a picture of it so you can see. But I really think this lace is worlds better than the original lace. This is the piece I took off the other sleeve. This is the flimsiest, cheapest lace they could possibly have found. And to be perfectly honest, taking this lace off the shirt was more effort than knitting the new lace and sewing it on. So I have one sleeve completed, and this is actually two, I would say, 15-inch strips of lace. I'll be talking about why I didn't just knit it as one wide piece of lace later on in the podcast. There's a story there. But I really like the look of the line that's formed when the two pieces are butted up against each other. And even when I was looking through my stitch books to find the lace, I knew I wanted a sawtooth edge, and this one just jumped out at me as soon as I saw it. Look at that. And I think it just looks so crisp against the shirt. Now, I admit I got kind of excited and I did not block this lace before I sewed it on. But here's my logic about that. I'm going to wash and dry this piece, just like I have been doing with this t-shirt. So I really didn't see the need to block this lace out, especially since once I put it in the washing machine, that's it. The blocking would be gone. So this is how I'm going to keep it. And in linen, the lace kind of just stays open because linen has no elasticity. So how it is as I knit it is how it will continue to be. If it was a dress shirt of some kind that I was adding lace to, I might be tempted to starch it when I ironed it. But I'm never going to iron this t-shirt, so I won't ever be tempted to do that. But I think on the t-shirt itself, it just looks delightful. It almost looks like a fancy lace hanky at the end of my sleeve. So I have another strip going, and about 11 of these points is about what I need for the sleeve. Now, I am going to do a double row around the hem, so I'll have to measure and see how much lace I will need to go. And the hem is a split hem, so I won't be knitting one continuous strip. I will be knitting four shorter strips. Two for the front that will be butted up against each other like this, just like on the sleeve, and two for the back. So I'll have to measure them independently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So about 11 points is enough for the sleeve. So once you've done 2 already, you kind of know. And I will have to see how many points I need to do for the hem. Now, this is increasing my lace lust. So what they did on the hem of the shirt was, here is the strip of chintzy lace on the hem of the shirt. I know it doesn't even look like lace right now. It looks kind of like rags, but I told you the lace was getting really beat up by the washing machine. So making it out of linen will just create a sturdier product. Now what they did at the join, I thought they put a medallion, and now that I look at it more closely, no, they didn't put a medallion. They just joined the 2 edges. So what I might do over the gap, I might, if I feel really like, oh, let me do something fancy, I might knit a medallion of lace to bridge this gap. And you know what, I thought it was a medallion at first because they didn't even finish the hem. Fast fashion, guys. Fast fashion. Just, it's kind of appalling when you really look closely at things. So I might make a medallion, or I might just take the route they took and hide the unfinished bit of seam. We'll see where I am when I get the 2 pieces of lace finish for the hem, because I will, like I said, I will need 4 individual strips. And I think since I did 2 on the sleeves, I will want to mirror the scale and do 2 strips along the bottom. So we'll see. So those are my current whips. So Mom, oh, by the way, this is my mom, Dola Toppin. She's also going to be referred to henceforth as AKS Mom. Mom is a master crocheter, and she's, I say that because she's been at it since before I was born. And that was a while ago now. Not as fresh as I used to be. So Mom has a whip. It is the My Precious Sweater by Katerina. I'm gonna have to give you guys a better look at this than my just holding it up. And Mom has just started the sleeves. Ooh, let me get actually in frame. Mom has just started the sleeve on this. What kind of ribbing did you do on this one?
Back post and front post.
So it's alternating.
Double crochet, yeah.
Back post and front post double crochet.
Yeah.
Cool. The yarn you used is agirlandherwool, right?
Yes.
Sadly, this is not going to be the final ball because I ordered the wrong yarn when I sent for it for her. I thought she was using fingering, but she's using sport, and she is selfishly opting to keep the wrong skein.
Yes, I am.
Oh, there we go. So, Mom, can you tell me about the underarm, because you were having some issues with that?
Well, in the pattern, she suggested that we just kind of cross it over like this.
We're going to have to hold it up a little bit higher because it's not visible on camera. But you know what? Let me just film that as you go.
In the pattern, she suggested that we just cross these 2 pieces over and then continue the pattern around the armhole like this.
Right.
Well, when I did that, I was, my issues with following patterns. So I was like, I'm going to do what she said. But then I had made other mistakes too.
So can you show me what she wanted you to do initially in the pattern? Just squish the 2 sides together?
Yeah. You just kind of cross them here.
Okay.
Put these 2, the 2 chains together and join it like this.
Right.
But like I said, I'd made a couple of other mistakes, and then when I did that and I tried it, it was really, it reduced the size of the sweater, and it didn't give you room for that the side body. So
what did you end up doing?
I ended up having to pick it out, and what I did was just drop in another 9 stitches because the row, I just
Built a bridge.
built the bridge by adding another motif, and that really gave you the room that you needed, because this sweater was supposed to be oversized. If you
Right.
look at the model, you will see. But when I did what she suggested,
Mhm.
it just reduced the size, so it was a fitted sweater by the time
Oh,
we got
okay.
to that.
How
So
much ease was it supposed to have?
it was supposed to have, I think she said like about 9 inches. I
Yeah.
think I ended up with like 6 or 7 inches of
Yeah.
ease in this.
Okay.
What after I
When you
put this
added,
in.
and when you did that bridge, you just did like a foundation row double crochet.
Yes, I did the foundation double crochet, joined it to the
Mhm.
other side, and just keep
And just
following the
kept on
pattern
kept
all
on.
the way around.
Fabulous. The color way of this yarn is Rose Tea, and I'll put all the details about the yarn and the pattern, which is actually by Katerina Crochet, down in the description bar. But I think it's coming out really, really, really well. And maybe, just maybe, we can get you to model it for us, in a picture. You don't have to do it this second, but
When it's finished,
sure. So somebody doesn't want to be seen in her half pants, but that's okay. It's okay. We'll wait. We'll wait. But I really love how it's coming out. And I think the sport weight was just perfect. It gave you a really nice fabric.
yeah, it gave you the body for that oversizedness.
Yeah. But it doesn't have like a lot of weight to it, which is also something that. Now, how was working these motifs? Were you like chained to the chart, or did they kind of
What happened with
build up?
this was that I wasn't following the chart because the chart, the chart just didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was following the written pattern.
Okay.
And I was really concentrating, you know, whatever the amount of double crochets you do, and then the two in between. And because I was just following that, I wasn't really seeing the pattern.
Right.
I was making a lot of mistakes, so I had to keep ripping it out and starting over. But once I ripped it down, because I had a mistake where it was like way up here, like around the 7th row.
Okay.
And I had gotten down all the way to the bottom.
I
So
remember that.
I just took it all back up. Once I traced where the mistake was, I just took it back down to that. And then I realized exactly what was supposed to be happening.
Right.
So once I knew what was supposed to be happening, it was quite easy. I didn't really need to.
So you just had to
follow the
really look
pattern.
at your work and make sure everything was stacking up.
Yeah, that
the way it
exactly.
needed
And
to.
that you said that perfectly. These had to stack.
You know what? Let me film that little bit so people can see it, because I won't be able to show it on that camera.
You know, these had to stack. And once you had that where it was supposed to be, the in-between stitches were pretty much automatic. You knew what had to be. If it had to be 1 or it had to be 2, whatever it had to be, it would just work out that way. And because I finally learned the pattern enough to do it, it was very easy for me to drop this in.
Right.
In the sleeve.
Because by the time you got down there, you'd already memorized what needed to be done, and you were able to, there was enough stitches that you could read what needed to be the next thing.
And that also made it easy once you started the sleeve to just pick up where you needed to be and keep going. But once you learn the pattern, it's really an easy crochet. You still have to pay attention because if
you're one stitch off, the pattern is no longer going to line up. Yeah. That looks really good though. And I'm surprised that the pattern is showing up this well in a variegated yarn, but it's a gentle kind of variegated.
Yes.
I think it kind of highlights what's going on with the patterning.
I think so. I think the pattern shows very well.
Yeah, I think so too. I really like that. So don't be scared to try variegated yarns. In almost, I would call this a kind of lace.
Almost. Yeah. It's open work.
It's open work. But don't be scared to try variegated yarn, because the open work is still showing up and showing up beautifully. And a yarn with a gentle variegation like this almost highlights what's going on in the patterning. So Mom also has a secret project going on, and we'll be talking about those coming up. Wait till you see that, crochets. I've been working on my lace, and I had, you know, it goes at a pretty quick clip because it's very narrow. And I had been knitting the pieces in separate strips and then sewing on each strip separately. And I was like, oh, this seems like a lot. Why don't I just knit it as one strip, just twice as wide? And I was like, okay, well, what would I have to do? I said, all right, let me scan the chart. So I scanned the chart, and then I mirror imaged the chart. I flipped it over. So now I had the edges on this side and on that side. I was like, okay. So I was looking at the chart, mirror image and butted up against each other like this, with the sawtooth edges on the outside and the straight edge on the inside. And I was like, oh, I don't like what the center is doing there, but let me see if I can do it. I was like, okay, I'll just knit one repeat of the chart and see what it actually looks like. Well, I can't say I was surprised because I knew I didn't like what I saw going on in the center of the chart, just on paper. But when I knitted it up, I discovered that in order to create that sawtooth edge on both sides, I would have to offset it by one row. And you wouldn't think, because once I realized that, I went ahead and knit it. And you wouldn't think that just making a change like that, a small change like that, would really make a difference in how the lace looked. I kind of hated it. So that idea was a no-go. But the process of making something is iterative. When you see a beautiful sweater or a beautiful finished object of any kind, just know that it's rarely a straight line from, casting something on to binding it off without any kinds of detours in between. Those detours are just part of the creative process. When you're making something, it's really about that process and going through all the steps of the process, even if it means ripping something out. I will put a picture of what the lace looked like when I knitted it whole, because I don't actually have it anymore to hold up for you. I don't know what I did with it. I think I might have ripped it out. I think that's what I did with it. I'll see if I can find it, if I saved it. If not, I did take a picture of it so you can see what it looked like. I just didn't like it done that way. And I realized that for my taste, that line in the middle where the two pieces butt up is really important. I really like the look of it. And I was thinking, oh, well, maybe I can just throw in, an eyelet that'll run up the middle between the two pieces. But between losing that line and having the sawtooth edge ever so slightly offset, it just changed the whole character of lace. Plus, it lost some of that angularity that it had in the chart because I just butted it up against itself. Didn't like it, so don't be scared to try something out just to see what will happen. You don't have to do it on the entire length of your or width of your piece. You can just cast it on as a small swatch and try it out, because whatever small amount of time, whatever time that doing that swatch takes, is going to be way less time than trying it out on the entire project. Anyway, that little idea did not work out. I will continue to knit the lace in 2 small strips and then sew those 2 small strips on together. We got to talking at Sit and Stitch. I don't know. If it's not last week, it was a week before, about how, you know, people are now looking for patterns that might give them a little bit of a challenge. So I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I can throw out some challenge projects. You can either use yarn you have in your stash already, or I know where you can get some of them. If you need yarn, I got you. I found these fun sock patterns that I think would just turn an ordinary sock yarn, an ordinary self-striping sock yarn, into something really fun. So I'm going to share my screen now and let's just see them too. So my first candidate for challenge project is a sock called Undulants Number 2. It's by Suzanne Bryant. It is a paid for pattern. And if you do decide to use my link below, you will be earning me a little bit of money. I will get a little commission off of that. But I thought this was the most interesting thing to do with self-striping sock yarn. Now, this pattern is going to lead you through a couple of things. You'll be doing short rows and a short row heel. And the way the pattern is written, it sounds like you can do it either toe up or cuff down. So it's got a little bit of something for any kind of sock knitter. I would not advise this for a beginner sock knitter because it's going to require you to do several skills. But if you have knitted more than one pair of basic socks, you have a good grasp of a short row heel, then I think you're ready to take on something a little bit more interesting. And whether you do them with a lot of color or not, just the way you are manipulating those stripes just brings all sorts of interest. As always, you can opt to do a contrasting heel, tough, cuff, and toe, or just cuff and toe, or toe and heel. All the variations. But I think this is a lot of fun. Now, my other idea was the geek socks, and these are by Wei S. Young. Now, I thought this was so cool because you're doing a little bit of manipulation to the stripe, but it's nothing that is going to give you any kind of agita, and it just brings a little bit more interest to the party. It's almost like beautiful little waves. Look at that. And it's pretty much the yarn doing all of the work for you. The designer of this sock said that they came upon a color work chart and decided to try it as, you know, with a self-striping sock yarn and see how it came out. And I think these are just gorgeous. And these are cuff down socks, and they're worked with an afterthought heel. So if you haven't done an afterthought heel before, this might be a great way to give it a try. This pattern is a free pattern, and I'll be linking to all of the patterns in the description bar. Now this one is interesting as heck. This is the Tipsy Toe Sock by Sybil R. So it looks like you're doing most of the twisting of the stripe in the front half of the foot. So if you want to take on a bit of a challenge and then be able to settle in and relax afterwards, these might be the one to just give you a little bit of action and then just whoosh through the rest of your sock. I just think that's really fun. And that is ordinary self-striping sock yarn that I think just about all of us has in our stashes. These are definitely toe-up socks, and they start at an angle and have short, okay, wipe that out, short row wedges. And that's how you twist that stripe ever so slightly. And once again, this is not, I would not suggest this sock for the person who's making their very first pair of socks. But if you already have made a couple of pairs of socks, you can more than likely do this. This one also has a short row heel. And then my last candidate for a challenge project is called Lots of Socks. Now, if you want to try out mosaic knitting, here's a nice small opportunity to do it. regardless of what size sock you're doing, you know, the socks are a finite number of stitches for the most part. They're going to be somewhere for an adult between 56 stitches and 72 stitches. So it's just not that many stitches to work with. So a sock is a nice place to try out a new technique. This sock pattern is also a pay-for pattern. It is sized. I'm trying to see if it's toe up or top down. Oh, here we go. It's a flap and turn heel, and it is a cuff down sock. So you're going to start at the top of the sock, not at the toe. Now, this one is kind of sneaky because it looks like there's crazy dramatic crazy dramatic color work going on. But what it's really happening is you are doing mosaic knitting with a solid sock yarn and a self-striping sock yarn. But you're not doing them all in the same row. So you're only using one color at a time, and you're using slip stitches to create that checkerboard effect that I think is so intriguing. Look at that. So those are my 4 candidates for a challenge project. If you guys would like to knit them together, let me know what sock you like best, and we can plan to cast it on in 2 weeks. And I will even do a short live cast on party that we could all cast on at the same time. And if you need yarn, I will link to some yarns in my shop that would be perfect for any one of these projects. I don't know about you, but I like a good read while I'm knitting or while I am out taking a walk, or sometimes just to help me get through doing some housekeeping. I'll have a good book going on and, just kind of focus my attention on that while I do whatever else it is I'm doing. Right now, I am reading Lovecraft Country. That's pretty good. Actually, I'm not reading it, I'm listening to it, and it is a rip-roaring good story. So I have some exciting news about the shop. We are going to be appearing at Vogue Knitting Live for the first time in their marketplace. I am so excited. I remember when I went to my very first Vogue Knitting show. It was actually the first one they did in New York, and it was exhilarating. I went every year after that. I will have 2 marketplace sessions, one on Friday, August 14th at 6 p.m., and the next one is going to be on Saturday, August 15th at 4 p.m. On Saturday, I'm going to be joined by Tara Mitchell of Mitchell's Creation. She does the most magnificent hand-dyed yarns. Please do come out and take a look. I'm going to include a link to the Vogue Knitting Live website in the down bar. And on the 14th, I'm going to be showing a whole variety of yarns that we have in the shop, and we'll just get a real close-up and personal look at those, plus kits and all kinds of fun stuff. So in more shop news, I just want to let everybody know that we are open for appointments only. I'm doing appointments Thursday through Sundays, and basically what we're trying to do is just have a very small number of people in the shop at any given time. Often our in-store appointments, it's 1 person or up to 3 people if you've come together as a group, and you can also indicate on your appointment online that you have a guest. You can book appointments on our website. It's at www.knitsheet.com. You can also book a virtual appointment if you're not local. We will meet you on Zoom, and together we can match up your yarn and pattern and set you up for success.